backyard by a tree, through the eyes of the artist. He takes his brush across your face, adds a touch of beige that always fades to gray. It's a constant reminder of the price we have to pay for love. And the artist, he says, hey, add a little color to the picture, no room for a permanent fixture, 'cause everybody's changing, the world just keeps on changing. Not a lot of time left to borrow, before we go turn into tomorrow. We're all participating, the constant rearranging, till the artist says good night. Over here, just wondering which way I'll have to steer through the mind of the artist. He takes his brush across his brain, yeah, he tries to cover up all the things that cause him pain. It paints a million perfect people in a world that's played with shame for love. Ooh, and the artist, he says, hey, add a little color to the picture, no room for a permanent fixture, 'cause everybody's changing, the world just keeps on changing. Not a lot of time left to borrow, before we go turn it into tomorrow. All participating, constant rearranging, till the artist says good night. No matter what I do, I just can't keep them apart. What was once a perfect pictures, now a perfect work of art. I'm consumed by all this sadness, but there's laughter in the air. When I look in the mirror, I wanna know who's standing there. Add a little color to the picture, no room for a permanent fixture, 'cause everybody's changing, the world just keeps on changing, 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 just be there, be into oblivion.
Tune in again tomorrow morning for the latest local. You're listening to the Jams and Coffee Morning Show with your host, Brad Brock.
Jessica reading the wrong things. I'm pressing the wrong buttons. I have a sneaking suspicion that it's Tuesday. Yes. Monday, I try to overcompensate by saying, oh, it's Monday. I got to be more on top of things. I have to be more professional. But Tuesday, I just throw caution to the wind. Who cares? Let's do the ending first, Jessica. I'd fire her, but she isn't a real person. So the point would be moot. It would be a moot point. But thank you so much for joining me this morning. Bye, Jordan. Thank you so much for joining me. Jordan is a real person, by the way. I know her. Can't fire her either. Yes, thank you so much for joining me here. Jams and Coffee in the morning, Tuesday morning, for September 13th in 2022, in case you're watching this from a time capsule. My name is Brad Brock. I will be your host this morning here. We got some news. We got lots of music news today, which is always my favorite to report. I appreciate you tuning in on YouTube, over on Facebook, or listening on JNC Radio via the LIVE365 Radio App. Great to have you guys here with me this morning. Paul said, that's mean to say about her. You mean you can't fire her, you don't pay her. That's true. That's true. I guess you can't fire somebody if you don't pay them. Can't fire a volunteer. Yes, it is a beautiful morning so far. The temperatures are going to be in the upper 70s for the Palm Beaches and Treasure Coast area, and the low to mid 70s along the Treasure Coast here. So it's hotter down in the Palm Beaches. Ooh. A little cooler up here in the Treasure Coast. With mainly dry conditions for the morning drive. This afternoon, the highs are going to be in the low to mid 90s. The heat indices in the triple digits, as per usual. With scattered showers and storms mainly moving west by late afternoon. But some storms could push towards the coastline later this evening. And some of those storms that do develop could produce heavy rainfall, which could lead to flooding issues. Whoa. The WPC has us under a level quarter threat, one-fourth threat for excessive rainfall. Tonight, rain-free conditions with lows in the mid to upper 70s. So it's just this afternoon is going to be daunting. In the early evening, going to be daunting out there. How's the weather in Tennessee, Philip? Or is Jim still on vacation? not able to talk as much? Either way, whatever you guys are doing this morning, however you're tuning in, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Come over to YouTube anyway. It's more fun. I put a link every day in the comments section on the Facebook ones. So hopefully we get some converts over to YouTube. Facebook, I tell you what, man. I read an article this morning. I should have copied it so I could read it to you guys, but I just don't know what they're doing over there. I don't know what they're doing. They just make it so difficult to be a content creator anymore. I know. I was talking to a friend of mine who does a lot of stuff on or Git Gaming. I guess Facebook has its own gaming platform, kind of like Twitch, if you're familiar with that service, where kids get on there and they play video games and live stream it so that other kids can watch them play. I don't know. I don't understand. But it's a thing. It's a thing. People are doing it. I don't understand it. But I'm also antiquated in many ways, especially when it comes to gaming. But yeah, I hear that a lot of people that had been gaming on Facebook are ditching it and going back to Twitch or going to Twitch for the first time. They're just making it very difficult. And I don't know if it's just the ensuing legal battles that Facebook happens to be in, and and I'm curious, are other platforms being scrutinized as hard as Facebook? Only time will tell. They're certainly the ones making the news. So I'm not sure what the future for Facebook is, or Meta on the whole grand scheme of things. But what is certain is that we're trying to move all of our streaming and all of these things over to YouTube exclusively. But I've gotten some flack for not streaming on Facebook. So I stream there. If they ban me, I don't care. But I hope that before that happens, you guys click the link there in the Facebook comments to come and watch the show on YouTube and subscribe there. It's better. It's better. Listen, we got some national days today. A ton of them. Some of them are really, really weird, like this one. It's National Ants on a Log Day. You guys remember ants on a log as a kid? Delicious. If you don't remember it, then taking that out of context, it's going to sound weird to you. But the second Tuesday in September each year celebrates National Ants on a Log Day. And, of course, this day recognizes the iconic and healthy food snack enjoyed by millions of people across the USA and around the world. Now, if you've watched the Jams and Cocktails podcast, you know that we would probably eat ants on an actual log because we have no self-respect on the Jams and Cocktails podcast. But here, Jams and Coffee, we're a bit more refined. Pinkies up, coffee's down. No, but the ants on a log is actually a delicious snack that you make by spreading peanut butter on a celery stick and placing raisins on top. They look like little ants on a log. The snack name was first used in the 1950s. Typical peanut butter version of the ants on a log is recommended as a healthy snack by the McKinley Health Center at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. What is it with colleges of these, the longest names of all time? I swear, and I've said this before, I think whatever the companies are that create the letters, these colleges, they're pushing for it. Pay per letter. And how healthy is this snack? Well, I've outlined each ingredient to give you an idea. Raisins add a little sweetness to the snack, while also providing vitamin C, selenium, and zinc. They're also low in sodium and are a good source of potassium, making them great for blood pressure, which Lord knows I need. Probably can eat 50,000 raisins, not make a dent. Another healthy benefit of raisins includes iron, copper, and magnesium, coupled with potassium. These pH-balancing minerals help keep stomach acid in order. Important. The next layer, of course, is peanut butter, and it's an excellent source of protein. Along with that, peanut butter offers a boost of healthy fat, too. And finally, crispy celery is low in calories, but that's not all. In the crunch of celery, you'll find fiber, folate, potassium, and vitamin K. Not only is it low in calories, but it doesn't have any of the fat and cholesterol other snack foods have either. So, early September is a time when kids are headed back to school and, more importantly, back to studying to keep them and their parents fueled with brain food. It's an important tool for staying focused. The designation is to celebrate and encourage healthy snacking using one of the most iconic treats that both old and new generations enjoy. What's your favorite snack out there? What's your favorite go-to snack? Doesn't necessarily have to be healthy, like ants on a log. But when you have a little craving, what do you get out there and do? As soon as I see some answers, I'll let you know what mine is. Jordan knows. Jordan already knows what mine is. but I'll tell you. What's next on the list here today? Oh, here's another good one. It's also National Bald is Beautiful Day. It sure is. September 13th, it honors noggins without hair. And being bald brings beauty all its own. Not only does baldness come in many forms, but it also comes with some convenience. For men especially, the cost of hair products and haircuts is reduced, basically to nothing. Additionally, reducing grooming time for men who find no more hair must be a relief. However, hair loss can be stressful for both men and women. Whether the cause is due to illness, medication, family heritage, or age, most people hope to keep their hair for as long as possible. But bald is beautiful in so many ways. By going bald, we shed our vanity regarding our hair. Baldness is a vulnerability. Those who have hair loss of any kind know this feeling. Facing it head on head on by taking off what once might have been a mantle of glory takes courage. Others may choose baldness. The inconvenience of hair care is more than they have time for, and they prefer the shiny and smooth pate over the maintenance of a regular haircut. However, once shorn, they do need to maintain the shave and wear sunscreen protection. A newly shorn scalp is sensitive to the skin, or to the sun, rather. It is skin. Whatever the reason, most find baldness freeing. Some even shave to support a friend going through an illness. Their solidarity is a visual reminder that they are not alone. So, how do we observe this? Well, no need for hats, scarves, or cover-ups of any kind. Let it all shine. How about that? Yeah, I'll tell you, man. I started losing my hair when I was 18 years old, and went through many, many years of really, really being upset about it. And now I've found that as you age, and like thankfully my hair hasn't been completely demolished here, but I got a little shiny spot down here in the back. It's a slow progression for old Brad, but yeah, it was devastating as a child. Devastating. But now I feel like I've pretty well grown into it. No kidding. Grown quite a bit into it. So not quite as upsetting anymore. The grays are a little bit more upsetting than the hair loss itself. And yes, Philip, I did say potassium. It's good for your guts. But no, yeah. But I've done all of it. I've done the spray hair. I've done the shake hair. I've considered shaving my head completely bald. You name it. Getting weird haircuts to try to cover up some things. Done it all. Nothing really works very well. So, thankfully, I through most of my life, I've enjoyed hats of different varieties. So, I've always been a hat guy. There you go. So yeah, bald is beautiful. Don't forget it. In addition to Ants on a Log Day, it's also, National Peanut Day. And of course, it pays homage to the mighty and tasty peanut. Likely originating in South America around 3,500 years ago, this legume is not a nut. No, they grow underground like potatoes. Since they're an edible seed that forms in a pod, they actually belong to the legume family with peas and beans. When it comes to plants packing protein power, peanuts provide a whopping 8 grams per ounce. Now, that's more than any other nut, according to the Peanut Institute. That's a thing. The Peanut Institute. We should all get together and go on a tour at the Peanut Institute. Unless you have an allergy, and then, probably stay clear of that. But remember, it's not a nut. Nuts grow on trees. Food for thought. Let's see. What else is going on out there? Oh, there are some weirdo national days today. It's National Uncle Sam Day. On the 13th, the United States recognizes Uncle Sam Day. The day commemorates the man behind the iconic image and fascinating nickname for the United States government, who was born on September 13th, 1766. Sam Wilson was a meat packer from New York. He was born on September 12th, 1766. He supplied barrels of meat to soldiers during the War of 1812. To identify the meat for shipment, Wilson prominently stamped U.S. on the barrels. It wasn't long before the soldiers dubbed the grub a delivery from Uncle Sam. As such nicknames tend to do, its popularity spread. The first illustration of Uncle Sam is unlike the one we know now. It was published by Harper's Weekly in 1861. The young government representative, a starred bandana on his head and wearing a striped vest, is depicted dividing up Virginia like a butcher. And through the years, the image of Uncle Sam would take many forms. The credit is given to German-born illustrator and cartoonist Thomas Nast for developing the long-legged Uncle Sam familiar to us today. With the starred top hat and striped pants, the Uncle Sam debuted in Harper's Weekly also. He took on many issues with Nast and his illustrator. Some of the topics included Boss Tweed, union recruitment, and Reconstruction. Well, during the modern era, Uncle Sam obtained some color. The United States Army awarded Montgomery flag with the artwork for the familiar portrait used in the I Want You for the U.S. Army campaign during the First World War. And it first appeared on the cover of Leslie's Weekly, an illustrated literary and news magazine. So there you go. Uncle Sam. It's also National Defy Superstition Day. There's no description here on the website for it, so use your imagination. I guess maybe adopt a black cat. Yeah, adopt a black cat. And defy superstition. Walk under that ladder. Caution to the wind. It's Tuesday, baby. What else can you do to defy superstition? Come on. Let me know in the chats and comments. Or you can give me a shout on the JNC hotline, 772-888-1596, the live show, folks. Calling that number will get you on the air. And we can talk about superstitions, how to defy them. Open the umbrella in the house. Who cares? It's National Defy Superstition Day. Here's one for you parents out there. It's a National Kids Take Over the Kitchen Day. And it brings the youngest cooks into the kitchen. Kids and teens across the country are called to take over their kitchens. This observance encourages their favorite recipes or using their favorite recipes to make a meal for their family. Of course, adult supervision and assistance may be required for the younger bakers and chefs in the house. The Young Chefs Academy, their mission empowers kids and teens to become more actively involved in the kitchen. They encourage children to help in the planning, preparation, and cooking of meals. Another focus of the YCA includes fostering family bonds. As a result of their work, they actively fight the battle against the many serious health and social issues related to youth's eating habits in today's time. When children take part actively in their family mealtimes, they learn to eat healthier. However, mealtime is also a social activity. We learn about each other's days and take an interest in each other's lives. Mealtimes are enormously productive. We work together and enjoy together as families. It's true. It's true. What else do we got today? It's also National Celiac Disease Awareness Day. Those with celiac disease avoid gluten due to the immune response that damages the villi and the small intestine. Over time, the damage prevents the absorption of nutrients into the body. Grains such as wheat, barley, rye, and even some oat products contain gluten. The destruction is irreversible, and the only known treatment is a carefully controlled diet. National Celiac Awareness Day promotes the importance of diagnosis as well as bringing resources and support to those who have already been diagnosed. Alternative meal preparation, diet suggestions, and celiac support groups help families provide nutritional lifestyles. So it is something to be aware of. You know, I know that sometimes gluten was sort of adversity or whatever, gets kind of a bad rap, or is the butt of some jokes, but it's a real thing, and the fact that it's not something that can just be reversed or surgically fixed or whatever the case is makes it a real deal for some people. And being aware of that is important. So, when people say, or ask you if there's gluten in it, maybe they have celiac disease. You never know. Just be kind. Be kind to people. And those are your national days today. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Listen, guys, we're going to take a quick musical break. A instrumental interlude, if you will. When we come back, we're going to get into the news here. I'm going to talk a little bit about a launch mishap yesterday. I'm sure if you haven't heard about it yet, you'll hear about it soon because you're going to hear about it here. But yeah, we'll talk about the Blue Origin incident coming up next. You're listening to Jams and Coffee here in the morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in just a few minutes.
I got a bird, want to whistle. Baby's got a bird, honey's got a bird, we'll sing. My baby's got a bird, honey's got a bird, we'll sing. But without my Karina, I sure don't mean a natural thing.
Welcome back to Jams and Coffee here in the morning. That was Micah Scott with Karina. Great rendition of that tune. It's one of my favorite songs, and he kills it, man. Catch Micah around town. He's a great performer, either solo or with a band. He's awesome. Thank you for tuning in this morning here to Jams and Coffee over on YouTube, Facebook, or listening on JNC Radio via the LIVE365 Radio App, available anywhere you get applications. Appreciate that. I'm always watching the chats and comments here. I got a big one here from Philip. I got to read it here in just a second. But the JNC hotline is open. 772-888-5096 gets you on the air, quote unquote. So you can give me a shout if there's anything we're talking about that you want to chime in on. Or if you just have an interest in completely derailing whatever it is we're talking about, that's also acceptable. Philip, what did he say here? I said, Philip said he just got into work well over 45 minutes late due to a cargo fire. The city of Murfreesboro closing the entire westbound side of it. But he said he did get in both of Paul's podcasts from last night and last weekend's drop. Oh, the silver lining, Philip, is what's important. The silver lining of being there. It's so funny. I just got a text from Jordan, who's driving. She's listening on JNC Radio, but she's at a dead standstill on the highway as well. Tuesday, I'm telling you, everybody's on their best behavior on Mondays. Everybody knows that Monday has this stigma, and they just want to, they got to get into the week in the right way. Tuesday, nobody gives a shit. It's wild out there. It's wild in here. It's wild everywhere. Tuesdays. And he had coffee, Philip said. So that's good, too. Cheers. You know who didn't have a very good Monday? Jeff Bezos. That's right. See that segue? You see how he did it? Woo! A rocket crashed back to Earth shortly after liftoff Monday in the first launch accident for Jeff Bezos' space travel company. But the capsule carrying experiments managed to parachute to safety. I watched it. It was harrowing. I'm so glad that it was unmanned. But I'll continue in the article because while that was a harrowing experience to witness, it does have a reasonable ending, I suppose. As I mentioned, nobody was aboard the Blue Origin flight, which used the same kind of rocket as the one that sends paying customers to the edge of space. The rockets are now grounded pending the outcome of an investigation. That's according to the FAA. The New Shepard rocket was barely a minute into flight from West Texas when bright yellow flames shot out from around the single engine at the bottom. The capsule's emergency launch abort system immediately kicked in, lifting the craft off the top. Several minutes later, the capsule parachuted onto the remote desert floor. The rocket came crashing down with no injuries or damage reported, according to the FAA, which, of course, is in charge of public safety during commercial space launches and landings. Blue Origin's launch commentary went silent. The capsule catapulted off of the rocket Monday morning, eventually announcing, "It appears we've experienced an anomaly with today's flight that wasn't planned." I imagine there was some shock and awe, according to that. Booster failure on today's uncrewed flight. Escape system performed as designed, the Kent, Washington-based company tweeted close to an hour later. The company later said that the rocket crashed. The mishap occurred as the rocket was traveling nearly 700 miles per hour, an altitude of about 28,000 feet. There was no video shown of the rocket, only the capsule after the failure. It happened around the point the rocket is under the maximum amount of pressure called max Q. The rocket usually lands upright on the desert floor and then is recycled for future use. The webcast showed the capsule reaching a maximum altitude of more than 37,000 feet. 36 experiments were on board to be exposed to a few minutes of weightlessness. Half were sponsored by NASA, mostly from students. It was the third flight for the New Shepard program, named after the first American in space, Mercury astronaut, of course, Alan Shepard. It was the ninth flight for this particular rocket capsule pair, which was dedicated to flying experiments. Blue Origin's most recent flight with paying customers was just last month. The ticket price hasn't been released, but Bezos was on the first New Shepard crew last year, although Blue Origin has carried 31 people on 10-minute flights, including actor William Shatner. The rocket should have launched nearly 2 weeks ago, but was grounded until Monday by bad weather. So, interested to see what happened there after their investigation. But as I was saying, the silver lining to this story is that their redundancy and safety measures worked perfectly. You have to imagine the amount of pressure that these rockets are under to bring something into outer space. You know, we've seen really, really devastating results of things gone wrong. And then we see things like this where the safety measures worked perfectly and the capsule safely made it back to the planet with no injuries. You know, the only X factor there was that the rocket crashed somewhere. But that's why they choose places like West Texas, where there's a lot of area that's uninhabited for these things to happen. So I don't know. It is spectacular to watch the rockets return to the pad and land upright. I find that fascinating. But yeah, interested to see what happened. Yeah, it was harrowing to see it happen in real time on the live stream there. I get into watching those. I like it. All right. What's going on the chats? I just like to take a peek around sometimes and see who's tuning in and what's going on. So I put a little poll out on the YouTube chat with an interesting result. I asked if you think that Mark David Chapman should be released on parole. Mark David Chapman, of course, is the man who shot and killed John Lennon back in 1980. I have a story here. Right now the poll is split 50-50. I was not expecting that result. But the man who shot and killed John Lennon outside his Manhattan apartment in 1980 has been denied parole for the 12th time, according to New York correction officials on Monday. Mark David Chapman, 67 years old now, appeared before a parole board at the end of August, according to the State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. Chapman shot and killed Lennon on the night of December 8th, 1980, as Lennon and Yoko Ono were returning to their Upper West Side apartment. Lennon had signed an autograph for Chapman on a copy of his recently released album, Double Fantasy, earlier that day. State officials have yet to make the transcripts of Chapman's latest board interview available, but he has repeatedly expressed remorse in previous parole hearings. Chapman called his actions despicable during his hearing in 2020, said he would have no complaint whatsoever if they choose to leave him in prison for the rest of his life. He said, I assassinated him because he was very, very, very famous, and that's the only reason I was very, 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 very much seeking self-glory. Very selfish, Chapman said then. He's serving a 20 years to life sentence at Greenhaven Correctional Facility, north of New York City. And he is next due to appear before the parole board in February of 2024. So you guys have a 50-50 split on whether you think that he should be released on parole. To be fair, he's been in there a long time. And also, to be fair, he isn't really asking to be released, saying things like no complaint if they choose to leave him in prison for the rest of his life. Interesting stuff. But yeah, you guys have a 50-50 split. What would he do? What would you imagine that Mark David Chapman would be able to do with his life after being in prison for so long? And this is you could take him out of the equation and put anybody that's been in prison for this, with a finite amount of time to serve. What would you do? when you got out of something like that? How would you carry on with your life? You know, there's a term for that. It's called being institutionalized. And they do have programs. Some places have programs. They try to reacclimate you into normal life with varying results, I'm sure. But yeah, it would be an interesting life for Mr. Chapman, who is now 67 years old, to come out of that and do that. Oh, man, what a nonsensical reason to kill someone. Paul said, can't wait for Artemis to go up. Yeah, me either, man. As the first step in a years-long effort to get people back to the moon. And I'm glad it's finally happening. My goodness. It only took 50 years. I don't know. God. Oh, what else is going on, you guys? Miley Cyrus is in the news. Of course, famously, the daughter of Billy Ray Cyrus, who has an achy, breaky heart. But apparently, Miley Cyrus is joining artists such as Dua Lipa, Katy Perry, and Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande. I get in trouble for that all the time. Ariana Grande, who are facing the consequences of posting paparazzi photos to their social media. The Malibu singer has been hit with a copyright lawsuit. I want your opinion on this stuff, too. So I'll get through the article, and then we're going to have a chat about it, because I want to know. Billboard reports the photographer Robert Barbera is suing Miley for sharing a photo he claims he snapped of her in 2020. The image, which Barbera notes the Grammy nominee posted without his permission, shows her waving to fans while walking out of a building. Barbera claims Miley crippled, if not destroyed, his ability to make profit off of the photo because of her immense presence on Instagram. The Midnight Sky singer boasts over 180 million followers on the platform. And it's unknown how much he's asking for damages. This isn't the only celebrity Barbera has sued for this exact thing. He previously sued Ariana, Dua, and Justin Bieber for posting photos he took of them on social media. While Ari and Justin settled, Dua is currently battling his lawsuit in court. Some fans may be wondering why a celebrity cannot post a photo of someone or post a photo someone else took of them. Well, attorney Nancy Wolf explains Miley can be liable for damages if she indeed shared the image without Barbera's consent. The misunderstanding with celebrities is just because they're the subject of a photo doesn't mean they have any ownership rights in it, the lawyer said. Cyrus nor Barbera have yet to speak about this ongoing matter with the news outlet. So I'll put it to you guys. What do you think? So take the celebrity of it all away. Let's strip all of these things away. You signed up for it. I don't want to hear it. Let's just bring it to basics, human basics. If somebody takes a photograph of you walking out of a public shopping center with all your shit and posts it online or sells it to tabloids, because let's just imagine that tabloids want pictures of ordinary people. And this said person makes a huge profit off of taking your photo of you carrying shit around. And you see the photo and you take the photo and post it to your own social media because it is you after all. Do you think that that's wrong? Now, I understand. Miley Cyrus, as mentioned, has 180 million followers. But I don't think she's directly making a profit off the photograph of herself. I can understand that by giving the photograph away on her social media, this guy is now going to have more of a difficulty selling said photograph. And let's just take away for the moment the fact that being paparazzi is pretty bottom of the barrel stuff anyway. But you know, is his business probably incorporated in some fashion to take pictures unsolicited and selling them for tons of money? I think the whole business is a crock of shit, but it is a business nonetheless. So what do you think? You think he's got a case? I think he's got a case legally, in my opinion. I don't necessarily think it's fair. But yeah. What I'm really saying is why aren't the paparazzi following me around? My God. I have to have a selfie stick. I have to set up a tripod to take my own photo of me looking like I'm just living my life. I have to say, Jordan, take a picture of me like pouring this cup of coffee. Make it look cool. Make it look like I'm a normal person doing normal people things. You know, or we're here. I'm gonna just set this. I'm gonna set my phone over here on this shelf and look as I'm, you know, pensively contemplating my entire existence. Hilarious. We all do it. Celebrities just get a whole team of photographers to do it for them. But the irony is that they're not allowed to use those photos unless they pay for it. It's good stuff. I wonder, though, if she credited them at least. Thank you, Mr. Barbero, for taking this photograph of me. I don't know. But moving on. Taylor Swift. Sticking in that same vein. She's going to make her acting return. The upcoming period drama, Amsterdam. Which, look what my coffee cup says. That's actually the name of a Holland America Line cruise ship that I never worked on. But Jordan, I think, found this in a thrift shop, and she got it for me. Very sweet girl. But Amsterdam, while the name of Taylor's character is yet to be revealed, it's been announced that she plays the daughter of a man whose murder propels the events of the story. Now, fans finally have a good look at how the hitmaker looks in the crime thriller. I don't know if I have a photograph of it that I could toss up here real quick. Maybe. Let's see. Let's see how she looks. There she is. Let me pull it up. Is it going to show up? It might. There it is. It's small, though. But it's there. That's what she looks like in this period drama. She's got such a classic look. She's cute. I like Taylor Swift. Let me finish the article. The official character poster was released yesterday. She's Taylor smartly dressed in a tweed-like green suit with a matching shirt and skirt. She's wearing a black fur shawl and a matching set of black gloves and a hat. She's also wearing black teardrop earrings and a black belt buckle high on her waist, of course. She's also wearing her signature red lipstick. The character poster teases, let the love, murder, and conspiracy begin. According to a press release, the original crime epic takes place in the 30s and centers on three characters played by Christian Bale, John David Washington, and Margot Robbie, who find themselves at the center of one of the most shocking secret plots in American history. The film's first trailer offered a brief glimpse of Taylor, who appeared at the end of the 2-minute clip looking distraught. This marks Taylor's first big-screen role following 2019's critically panned movie musical. Of course, we're talking about Cats. Amsterdam also starring Robert De Niro, Mike Myers. Oh, Mike Myers is back. Anna Taylor-Joy, Chris Rock, Rami Malek, and Zoe Saldana. It arrives exclusively in theaters on October 7th, so coming up. Pam. I always love whenever I talk about pop singers like Taylor Swift. Pam tells me to move along, move along. Some people love her. Don't get it twisted, man. I think she's smart in the way that she operates her business. I think that she could be an example to other pop stars to turn that momentum into a fortune and a platform. Her music, I could be for or without it. I guess it doesn't really matter to me, but the impact is undeniable. So, but we'll see how she does because Cats was not good. It was really, really not good. If you haven't seen it, don't. Unless you're interested in some morbid curiosity, it's not worth it. But this looks pretty good. It's got a great cast, even though Cats also had a great cast. That's a pretty good cast. So we'll see how it is. October 7th, Amsterdam. Pam says, no, just her, just Taylor. I apologize. I shouldn't address her as Taylor. She's Dr. Swift. She is, after all, an honorary doctor. Dr. Swift. All right, moving on. Elton John fans, got some good news for you if you've not been able to catch him on his farewell tour, because the Elton John final concert, because I can't speak, the final U.S. concert, Elton John concert of his farewell tour, is going to be live streamed. That's fun. Elton John's partnering with Disney Plus to stream his final U.S. concert on November 20th from Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. The broadcast will appear on Disney Plus alongside a documentary called Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road, the final Elton John performances and the years that made his legend. The documentary features unseen concert footage, handwritten journals, and present-day footage of him and his family. Between his Me memoir, his Rocket Man biopic, and the pandemic, a lot has happened since Elton first announced the farewell tour back in 2018. The final date of the tour is next year in Stockholm, Sweden. Once the tour is concluded, Elton says he'll take a hiatus and figure out what to do next. While Elton has no plans to tour again, he expects to continue working in music. He and Jack Shears of Scissor Sisters awesome. Recently collaborated on a musical called Tammy Faye. It's set to premiere in London this fall. And a little throwback tidbit. On this day back in the year 2000, Elton John threw a tantrum while he was set to appear at a sold-out show at the Estoril Casino near Lisbon, Portugal. Elton was unhappy after the audience were slow in leaving a VIP dinner before the concert, and Elton left the building and flew home on his private jet without playing a single note. Always the diva. There you go. Elton John fans, you'll get to you'll get to see him on a live stream for his final U.S. show. I don't know if it's just me, but do you guys find that there are a lot of lawsuits in the music industry right now? Here's another one. This one's kind of been ongoing. With the and we've reported on it before, I read some articles on it before. The three men accused of trying to sell 100 pages of handwritten lyrics that were allegedly stolen from the Eagles' Don Henley back in the 70s are asking a judge to dismiss the case. The pages are said to cover a large portion of Henley's contributions to the Eagles' 1976 Hotel California album, including the songs Hotel California and Life in the Fast Lane. They're said to have been stolen from Henley by a biographer more than 40 years ago. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum curator Craig Inciardi, book trader Glenn Horowitz, and rock auctioneer Edward Kaczynski were charged in July with illegally obtaining and trying to trade the documents. They face more than 4 years in prison if convicted. In a new filing, the trio's lawyer, Antonia Apps, laid out 4 reasons the case should be dismissed, according to Rolling Stone. Apps urges that the statute of limitations on the case expired more than a year ago, back in May of 2021. There has been an unreasonable delay in filing charges. I guess the papers were seized by a New York District Attorney's office in 2016. And the official $1 million valuation of the documents is flawed. Finally, Kaczynski did not know that the documents were stolen. So he says. The filing also identifies the biographer who allegedly took the documents from Henley in the 70s. Apps argues that Henley has offered no proof to corroborate that the documents were truly stolen. If they were not taken illegally, the state has no case against Inciardi, Horowitz, and Kaczynski. The hearing is set to take place in New York, in the New York Supreme Court on October 14th. Lots going on in October. We'll see what happens there. Could you imagine having your hands on something like that? Could be good. We got some celebrity birthdays for you. God, we're running long today. Will you take only one music break? Had a lot to say today. Turning 29 years old today, Irish singer-songwriter who first gained fame as a member of the boy band One Direction, Niall Horan, is celebrating his 29th birthday today. In 2016, he signed a record deal as a solo artist with Capitol Records. He debuted as a solo artist with his 2017 album Flicker, which feature the singles Slow Hands and This Town. He released a second album, Heartbreak Weather, in March of 2020. Happy birthday, Niall. Neil? Niall? Not important. Producer, playwright, filmmaker, director, and actor, who was dubbed the highest paid man in entertainment by Forbes magazine in 2011, is turning 53 years old today. Yes, I'm talking about the one and only Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry celebrating his 53rd trip around the sun. Turning 42 today, the actor best known for his role as Corey Matthews on the television show Boy Meets World. Yes, we're talking about Ben Savage, 42. Of course, that show ran from 93 to the year 2000. He reprised his role in 2014 for Girl Meets World, which ran for just a few years till 2017. Happy birthday, Ben. Robbie Kay turning 27 years old. He's an actor whose film and television credits include 2007's Fugitive Pieces and 2008's Pinocchio. He played Peter Pan in 11 episodes of the series Once Upon a Time, and he played Tommy Clark in the NBC series Heroes Reborn. Oh, 27. Happy birthday, Robbie. Turning 45 years old today, singer-songwriter who is the recipient of the Grammy Award for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance, Fiona Apple. She has released songs like Sleep to Dream and Criminal to critical acclaim. And if you are a man in your 30s like I am, perhaps older, when that Criminal music video came out, boy, I was in love with Fiona Apple. Thought I was going to marry her. Incredible artist, by the way. She is very, very good. Even her new stuff is great. But yeah, there was definitely something hot about that Criminal video. And that's all I'm going to say about that. 45 today. Happy birthday, Fiona. Turning 61 years old today, former guitarist from Metallica, Dave Mustaine. Of course, he went on to become the singer and guitarist behind the heavy metal band Megadeth. Turning 61. Hardy, country singer, just known as Hardy. Michael Hardy is his name. Turning 32 years old today. His fame reached new heights after the release of his 2019 song Rednecker. He also had success with singles This Old Boy, Throwback, and 4x4. Happy birthday there, Hardy. J.G. Quintel, turning 40 years old today. He's an award-winning animator, writer, and actor, best known as the creator of Cartoon Network's Regular Show. It's an animated slacker comedy. And turning 78 years old today, Peter Cetera. It was with the band Chicago as the singer, and they, of course, had the 1976 hit, If You Leave Me Now. Cetera left the band in July of 1985 and scored the solo 1986 hit, Glory of Love, which was the theme song from the film Karate Kid Part 2. Yes, Philip, 78 years old, Peter Cetera. Sometimes these birthdays shock me. That's a pretty shocking one for me. And that's our birthdays. So listen, I'm going to give you our top 10 and then give you the shameless plugs. And I'll get you back on with your Tuesday. I'm sure that you have pressing and important things to do. So I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me this morning. This was a fun one. You guys, this was a fun one. So, I'll give you a little backstory here first. When paranormal researcher Fiona Broom, Fiona, there's that name again, discovered that several people shared her false memory of Nelson Mandela dying in prison back in the 80s, she came up with the term the Mandela effect. Have you heard of it? And she coined that for other similar incidents. The quantum theory enthusiasts have taken the Mandela effect theory a whole lot further, stating that it's proof that the multiverse is a real thing and that parallel realities continuously clash with one another. Some even believe that the Mandela effect came into play at the same time that the Large Hadron Collider was introduced. However, thousands more think it's simply our minds playing tricks on us. I'm going to read you this top 10 list, and then you can tell me what you think. So here it is, the JNC Top 10. All right, now number 10 here on our Mandela effect. Now, a lot of these have to do with pop culture, so just you're going to have to imagine, without looking it up, imagine in your mind how you remember these scenes in history, and see if you are affected by the Mandela effect. So here's a good one. This is a great one to start with. Do you guys remember the old-time rock and roll scene in Risky Business featuring Tom Cruise? It became an instant classic after the movie was released in 1983. Tom Cruise's dance moves in the scene have been parodied countless times, including very memorably by snarky butler Niles in the American TV sitcom The Nanny and the cast of Scrubs. Curiously, in the vast majorities of these parodies, people wear shades when they strut along to the lyrics of old-time rock and roll. That's because most people around the world seem to remember Cruise wearing shades during the scene. And yet he doesn't. There's the white versus pink shirt, but that's for another list. Do you remember Tom Cruise wearing the Wayfarer glasses? He didn't. He didn't. Number 9 on this list. Here's another good one. In the beloved 1950s TV sitcom I Love Lucy, Lucy did indeed have some splaining to do. But no matter how many people remember the quote, "Lucy, you got some splaining to do," Ricky Ricardo never actually says those words in that order. He does, however, say things like "splain that if you can," or "Lucy splain." Yet there are people who would die on the hill if he did so say that. Another very well-known line misquoted all the time is "Beam me up, Scotty." Star Trek's Captain Kirk never utters this line, but does say, "Beam us up, Mr. Scott." And if you're nerding out, it's the Gamesters of Triskelion episode. Go back and quote it on that. Number 8. The Mandela effect happens with just about anything, including movies, television, books, Broadway shows, or even paintings or portraits. One of the most famous paintings of King Henry, the, what is that? The 8th? I guess Henry the 8th, I am. Is of him sitting at a dinner table, just his upper torso visible, holding a turkey leg in his hand. Right? At least this is how most people visualize it. In reality, there is no painting of King Henry VIII holding a turkey leg. There is, however, a Renaissance painting of him holding a pair of leather gloves in one hand and the string of a scabbard in the other. Expanding on this Mandela effect example, some people took things even further by claiming that King Henry VIII was the first English king to eat turkey and that he was a huge fan of the meat. There's also a host of examples in media in which King Henry VIII is depicted as holding or eating a turkey leg as a direct result of the belief that the turkey leg painting exists. But it doesn't. At least not in this multiverse. Dun, dun, dun. Abe Vigoda had a great role in The Godfather, starring one in Barney Miller. He will forever be remembered for being dead 30 years before he actually died. Vigoda was first reported dead in 1982 by People magazine. Despite him still being alive and well 5 years later, a local newspaper in New Jersey reported him dead again. Letterman pounced on the story, and it became a long-standing joke. And in turn, the joke fueled fire of Vigoda's death myth. A running gag about his purported death started up at Friars Clubs during the roast hour, and Jeff Ross had a really fun time saying, "My one regret is that Abe Vigoda isn't alive to see this." Vigoda would then jump up in mock anger from his seat in the audience and shake his fist at Ross. He did die for real this time in 2016. But when TMZ broke the news, reporters were hesitant to pick up on the story because of the ongoing gags. Pretty funny. Number 6 on our list. Cinderella Castle at the Magic Kingdom Park at Walt Disney World has been redecorated on several occasions to mark different celebrations. Many of us in Florida know, and beyond. One of these makeovers took place in 1996 when it was transformed into an 18-story birthday cake for the 25th anniversary of the Orlando Resort. Currently, the castle sports a massive 50th crest, as well as blue jewels, pearls, and ribbons in celebration of Disney World's 50th anniversary. The world's most magical celebration will end on March 31st, 2023. But apparently, the Cinderella Castle can also up and move locations when it feels like it. While most people know it to have always stood at the end of Main Street, several visitors and fans are adamant the castle is actually the entrance to the theme park. Maybe the park is spookier than some would like to believe. Now, I guess being a Florida resident and an Orlando resident for many years, I would find that that's probably the most ridiculous one on this list so far. Everybody knows that it's not the entrance to the park. Number 5 on this list, though, in 1989, soldiers fired at peaceful protesters in Tiananmen Square in Beijing. The protests started on April 15th and were forcibly shut down on June 4th when martial law was declared. It's estimated that thousands were killed and thousands more wounded, both inside and outside of Tiananmen Square. What most people remember, however, is Tank Man, the protester who stood firm and unwaveringly as 3 tanks approached him. Fortunately, it was pulled out of the way before getting hurt, but many people recall this incident differently. Some claim they watched it on TV and saw the tanks running right over the man, killing him. Others even stated that it was the first death they witnessed in real time. You guys remember that? Number 4. Here's a music one for you. Piano Man, of course, probably one of the most instantly recognizable songs in the world. It is immensely popular whenever karaoke contests are in full swing. The lyrics are also fantastic and truly blend with the music in a magical way. But there is a Mandela effect at play, tier 2. The second verse of the song starts out with the words, "Hey," or he says, "Son, can you play me a melody," right? Right? Nope. Even though this is what most people hear and believe the lyrics to be, the correct words are, he says, "Son, can you play me a memory?" The melody, ironically, contains the line, "Well, we're all in the mood for a melody." How do you remember it? I sing the song all the time, so I know that it's a memory. Interesting. Number 3. While we're on the topic of music, Joan Jett is responsible for one of the biggest earworms in the history of music, possibly of all time. I Love Rock and Roll is a foot-tapping classic that starts with the line, "I saw him standing there by the record machine." Or so thousands of people think. What Chet actually sings is, "I saw him dancing there by the record machine." He wasn't just standing, he was dancing. There are dozens more Mandela Effect examples of music, too. These include the lines from the Bee Gees tune, "How Deep Is Your Love?" And that's, "I really need to know, but I really mean to learn." And the Mamas and Papas' popular "California Dreaming" that doesn't include the lyric, "I began to pray, but instead I pretend to pray." Might have changed your life forever there. You never know. At number 2, the bronze sculpture, The Thinker, stands in the Musée Rodin in Paris. Paris. Yes. Speaking. The sculpture depicts a nude male figure sitting on a rock and leaning over with his right elbow on his left thigh. The weight of his chin rests on the back of his hand, according to many tourists. But several people who have visited the statue believe the statue's right fist is pressed against his forehead. The frontal view of the statue reveals that the knuckles of the right hand are actually pressed up against his mouth, and his hand is not in a fist. Several books, both fiction and nonfiction, describe the statue as having his right fist to his forehead, confusing the issue even more. Are you guys envisioning all of these things in your head? I am, and I'm stumped. I don't know. The world is different now. And of course, number 1, the effect that started it all, right back at the beginning, the Mandela effect, caused by an incorrect memory about Nelson Mandela himself. People worldwide have the persistent memory of Nelson Mandela not only dying in prison in the 1980s, but also of clips of the funeral aired on television and riots in several cities. Some even insisted that they'd learned of his death at school in the 90s and were flabbergasted when the news broke in 2013 that Mandela had, in fact, died at the age of 95. This original Mandela effect gave rise to a slew of conspiracy theories, including one that said because he died in 1985 at the age of 67, South Africans today are encouraged to perform 67 minutes of charity on the late statesman's birthday. It's even believed that an imposter was installed in Mandela's place and that it was the doing of the government at the time. A man named Gibson Makonda then became the first democratic president of South Africa. And somewhere in there, as is the case with all persistent conspiracy theories, the Illuminati also seems to have had a hand in conjuring up the big lie. There you go. Top 10 Mandela effects. What do you think? What do you think? Any substance to any of these? There's one that didn't make the list that I always thought about. Remember when we were kids, the series of books called the Berenstain Bears? You'll have a group of people that swear that it's the Bernstein Bears. In fact, it's not. Berenstain Bears. Crazy, right? Child. Anyway, that was a fun one. I thought that was a fun one. Makes me think about it. It makes me want to go find a longer list and dive deep into that. But we'll save that for another time. I'm going to get you with some shameless plugs here. I will be performing tonight, God willing and weather permitting, at the Tipsy Tiki. I feel like every time I play there, there's some ominous weather reporting going on. But the Tipsy Tiki in Fort Pierce, I will be there 6 to 10 o'clock tonight. It's a great place. It's a great place to play. A really nice stage. They're really doing some work on it. Of course, John Nolly from Pierce Cider has purchased the business and has been really putting a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the place to spruce it up and make it cool. So Steve Fogel is a local artist who's been doing murals and all kinds of art around the bar there, and he's amazing. The work he does is really, really cool. So come and check it out if you're local in the Fort Pierce area, 6 to 10 tonight. Weather permitting, of course. You can check my socials to make sure and see what's going on. But, yeah, come out and have a drink. Full liquor bar, beer and all that other kind of stuff, too. So, yeah, that's where I'll be tonight anyway. Go and get the Live365 Radio App from your app store. That way you can take JNC Radio with you anywhere you go. You listen to great music all day long. You can listen to this show. You can listen to the podcast on Wednesday nights live. And it's a really cool app, and I think everybody should have it on their phone. Because even if you're not listening, you know, if what we play on our radio station isn't your bag, there's plenty of offerings, radio stations that are programmed by real live people. So, you know, if you're sick of corporate radio, Live365, check it out. Really cool stuff on there. And it's free. Be sure to check out Paul from the Drums and Rums podcast. He just dropped a new podcast today. I'm interested. I love when he does these podcasts. I love his interview podcasts. They're great. But when he does podcasts that just tell a story, it's great. I love to hear Paul talk. I wish he would tell me bedtime stories and to follow, like, before I go to sleep. So I'm really excited. This one is about Ringo Starr. And, of course, on the heels of the show coming up this week and his all-star band. So go check that out, drumsandrums.com. You can get it there or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Of course, he's got his live stream on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Check that out as well. And, Paul, I'm gonna hit you up this morning. We're gonna figure out how to simulcast some of the stuff that you do on the radio station and on the JNC podcast website. You can go to jamsandcocktails.com or jncpodcast.com or jncradio.com. It all takes you to the same place. Just did a pretty big revamp on the website. That's so much easier to navigate. It has all of our offerings there, 3 of which are available currently. Jams and Cocktails, of course, the podcast. We have the Drums and Rums podcast there for you to check out. And this show, Jams and Coffee. So much more to come. But check that out, jncpodcast.com or jamsandcocktails.com. We'll get you there. But, yeah, that's my shameless plugs. Be sure to support the people who support us and support local whenever you can. Super important. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I appreciate you so much for hanging out with me this morning here on Jams and Coffee. Whatever you do today, do it with a smile, do it with intention. And I'll catch you tomorrow, right back here at 8 a.m. We'll see you then. Cheers. Have a good day.
Tune in again tomorrow morning for the latest local buzz, national headlines, music news, and more on JNC in the Morning, right here on Facebook and YouTube.